Marcus Reed had never expected to find anything remarkable while digging through the rubble of Installation 7. The abandoned research station on Kepler 442b had been stripped clean decades ago, or so the salvage reports claimed. But Marcus needed the work, and even scrap metal fetched decent credits in the outer colonies. His excavator's drill bit caught something solid 3 meters down. The scanner showed an anomaly, a chamber that predated human colonization by thousands of years. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. Ancient alien artifacts were rare enough to change a salvager's life forever. The chamber walls bore markings unlike anything in the known databases. Geometric patterns spiraled across black stone that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. At the center of the room, embedded in a pedestal, stood a sword. The weapon was beautiful in its simplicity. The blade stretched roughly a meter long, forged from a material that shimmered between silver and gold. The crossguard curved elegantly, and the grip seemed sized for a human hand, though Marcus knew that couldn't be right. No human had walked this world before the colony ships arrived. As he approached, symbols along the blade's surface began to glow with a pale blue luminescence. Marcus recognized the phenomenon from academy training. Reactive inscription technology, something humans had only theorized about. The ancient races had actually built it. He reached out, hesitating only briefly before his fingers closed around the grip. The sword came free from the pedestal without resistance, and the moment it did, the inscriptions flared bright. Words appeared in his mind, not in any language he knew, yet perfectly comprehensible. All enemies of the fallen warrior are now your enemies. The chamber shuddered. Dust rained from the ceiling as something deep within the planet's crust awakened. Marcus stumbled backward, clutching the sword as the pedestal split apart. A holographic display erupted from the fragments, showing a star map he didn't recognize. Dozens of systems were marked in red, pulsing like infected wounds across the galaxy. Then came the voice. It spoke directly into his thoughts, ancient and weary. The inheritor has been chosen. The compact demands fulfillment. What was begun must be finished. Marcus tried to drop the sword. His fingers wouldn't obey. The weapon had bonded to him, its molecular structure interweaving with his cellular composition at a level his medical implants couldn't even measure. Panic clawed at his throat. What compact? I didn't agree to anything. The sentinel fell before the war ended. Honor demands completion. You carry the blade. You inherit the burden. The hologram shifted, showing massive fleets locked in combat. The ships were unlike anything human engineers had designed, yet their purpose was clear enough. This had been a war of extinction, fought across multiple star systems with weapons that could crack planets. One species had worn armor of crimson and black. The other had fought with silver ships that moved like schools of fish. The sentinel, whoever that warrior had been, had belonged to the Silver Fleet, and they had been losing. Marcus watched as the final battle played out. The sentinel had made a stand on this very world, fighting against impossible odds, while the last of the silver ships retreated into deep space. The warrior had killed hundreds before falling, and with their dying breath, had sealed the sword away with a curse and a promise. Any who claimed the blade would inherit the vendetta. The war would continue, no matter how many millennia passed. This is insane, Marcus said, his voice cracking. That war ended thousands of years ago. Everyone involved is dead. The enemy endures. They wait in the deep dark, beyond the rim of your mapped space. They have always waited, patient as stone, for the galaxy to forget. The hologram zoomed to one of the marked systems on the edge of known space. Human survey teams had cataloged it as lifeless, worthy of only minimal investigation. The display showed otherwise. Hidden facilities orbited dead worlds. Ships hung in the void, powered down but intact. An entire civilization in hibernation. They were waiting for something. The display made that clear enough. Marcus felt sick. He'd stumbled into something far beyond a salvager's simple life. This was the kind of discovery that governments went to war over, the kind of secret that got people disappeared. "I can't fight a war," he said. "I'm nobody. Just a man trying to make enough credits to eat." The sentinel was nobody before the blade chose them. They became what necessity demanded. "As will you." The sword pulsed in his grip, and Marcus felt something flow into him. Knowledge. Combat techniques perfected over a lifetime of warfare. Strategic thinking honed across 100 battles. The sentinel's final gift to whoever inherited their burden. His body knew how to move now, how to strike, how to kill with efficiency that terrified him. The muscle memory wasn't his own, yet it resided in his flesh as if he'd trained for decades. Marcus ran from the chamber, sword still locked in his hand. He needed to get back to his ship, needed to contact the colonial authority, needed someone to tell him this was all a bad dream brought on by stale rations and recycled air. The planet had other plans. As he climbed toward the surface, the ground erupted around him. Machines older than human civilization tore free from the soil, their purpose singular and clear. They'd been left as guardians, programmed to test any who claimed the sentinel's blade. Marcus moved without thinking. The sword sang through the air, its edge parting ancient metal like tissue. He rolled under grasping claws, vaulted over beam weapons, struck with precision that shouldn't have been possible. The sentinel's skills guided his every motion. When the last guardian fell, Marcus stood panting in the ruins, covered in oil and debris. The sword gleamed clean in his hand, unstained by the violence. "This can't be my life now," he whispered. But he knew the truth. The moment he'd grasped that blade, his old life had ended. He was the inheritor now, bound by a compact forged before humanity had even learned to make fire. Marcus reached his ship, concealed the airlock behind him. His hands shook as he set course away from Kepler 442b. He needed time to think, to plan, to understand what he'd become. The sword rested against his pilot's chair, silent now, but radiating a presence he couldn't ignore. Those red markers on the star map haunted his thoughts. Somewhere out there, the enemy slept, waiting for the galaxy to lower its guard. How long before they woke? How long before someone stumbled onto one of their hidden facilities and triggered whatever alarm would rouse them from hibernation? Marcus pulled up human expansion charts. Dozens of colony ships were pushing toward the outer rim, full of families seeking new worlds. They had no idea what waited in the dark between stars. The sentinel's memories showed him what would happen if the enemy returned. Worlds burned. Populations enslaved or exterminated. A war of such brutality that entire species had chosen extinction over surrender. He could run. The sword was bonded to him, but he could still flee to some remote corner of space, hide until old age claimed him, and pass the burden to someone else. But those families on the colony ships wouldn't have that choice. When the enemy came, they'd die without ever understanding why. Marcus closed his eyes and made his decision. He'd been nobody special, just a salvager scraping by on the margins of civilized space. But the Sentinel hadn't been anyone special either, at first. They'd become what the galaxy needed them to be. If war was coming, humanity deserved to know. They deserved the chance to prepare, to arm themselves, to stand ready. And if that meant Marcus Reed had to become something more than he'd ever imagined, had to learn to be the warrior the sword demanded, then so be it. He set course for the nearest colonial authority station, the sword's weight a constant reminder against his leg. Somewhere in the deep dark, ancient enemies slept. But they wouldn't sleep forever. And when they woke, they'd find humanity waiting. They'd find the inheritor ready. The war wasn't over. It had only paused, holding its breath across the centuries. Now it would begin again, and Marcus Reed would make sure humanity survived to see its end.